Imagine this. You walk into a basement. There are no windows, only bars, chains, and rules. You didn't commit a crime. You just signed up for a psychology experiment, an experiment that would go down in history as one of the darkest moments in behavioral science. This is the story of the Stanford Prison Experiment, the day when ordinary students turned into monsters. The year was 1971. Psychologist Dr. Philip Zimbardo wanted to study how power affects human behavior. Could good people, if given authority, turn cruel? To find out, he recruited 24 healthy, intelligent male students. Each would earn $15 a day to participate in what they were told was a mock prison simulation. Half would play guards, the others, prisoners, randomly chosen. No real difference between them until the experiment began. The basement of Stanford's psychology building was transformed into a small, windowless prison. Barred doors, narrow cells, a tiny yard for exercise. The guards wore khaki uniforms, reflective sunglasses, and carried wooden batons. The prisoners wore loose smocks with numbers instead of names. On paper, it was all pretend. But once they stepped into that space, it stopped feeling like a game. Something inside them began to shift. The first day passed quietly, but by the second day, the prisoners started rebelling. They blocked their cell doors with beds. They shouted. They refused to follow orders. The guards, at first uncertain, suddenly found power intoxicating. They used fire extinguishers to blast the prisoners, forced them to strip naked, made them do push-ups for hours. What started as role play turned into real domination, and Zimbardo didn't stop it. The guards became creative, with cruelty. They used psychological torture instead of violence. Prisoners were forced to shout their numbers again and again until they broke down. One guard made them clean toilets with their bare hands. The rules became meaningless. The guards started inventing punishments just to see how far they could go. They forgot they were students. The prisoners forgot it was an experiment. Even the researchers, watching, forgot. By the third day, the first breakdown occurred. Prisoner number 8612 began screaming, "I can't take it anymore." He was shaking, crying, begging to leave. Zimbardo agreed, but only after making him feel guilty for quitting. Other prisoners followed, crying, collapsing, emotionally shattered. But the guards, they became worse. They worked overtime, not for money, but for power. Even Dr. Zimbardo himself became trapped in his own creation. He wasn't acting as a scientist anymore. He became the prison superintendent. He justified cruelty in the name of research. He ignored suffering, convinced it was part of the experiment. Until someone finally confronted him. A graduate student, Christina Maslach, entered the site. When she saw the broken, trembling students, she said, "What you're doing here is terrible." It was the first time Zimbardo realized he had become part of the darkness he was studying. After just 6 days, the experiment was shut down. It was supposed to last 2 weeks. But what happened inside those basement walls would echo for decades. The Stanford Prison Experiment revealed something terrifying. That cruelty doesn't always come from bad people. It comes from ordinary people, when the system allows them to act without consequence. When we wear a uniform, a title, or a mask, the mind creates distance between who we are and what we do. That's when morality fades and monsters are born. The Stanford Prison Experiment is no longer just a story from 1971. It's a mirror showing what any of us could become. So the next time you see cruelty, power, or blind obedience, remember, You don't need to wear a uniform to lose your humanity. Sometimes all it takes is permission. The line between good and evil lies not between people, but inside every human heart.